Traditional marriage has lost its purpose. Just to make something very clear from the very beginning of this video, I am not against traditional marriage. Traditional marriage in the sense of one man, one woman. I myself am a straight guy and I consider myself as not capable to deal with more than one partner. So I am pretty much the poster child for a monogamous heterosexual marriage. But I consider it wrong to force this kind of constellation on everybody. In order to explain my position and the title of this video, I am going through the circumstances that created marriage as it exists today. So what were the reasons for the humans to come up with the concept of marriage to begin with? Love is just an argument for about 1 century. Originally it was a measure of survival. The humans stuck together to create an environment in which it was safe to breed and reproduce. The males protected the females, while the females raised the children. But in this early stage of our species, there was no marriage in the sense we have it today. The humans lived in clans, and the offspring was raised by the whole clan and not by just one mom and just one dad. So, when and why started people to go for this monogamous concept? About 8,000 years ago, humans discovered agriculture and stopped being hunters and gatherers and settled down and had their own land and grow their own food on it. But now man had to face a problem how to transfer the land to the next generation. And that's why the monogamous system was invented, so that a man knows who are his children and who is going to get his land after he dies. So basically monogamous marriage is one of the keystones of our patriarchal society we have been living in for thousands of years. Later on, marriage was turned into a political tool, and most marriages happened in order to create alliances between families, between whole clans, and even between whole countries. That's pretty much the reason why all great royal families in medieval Europe had been related to each other, because the rulers of one nation married their children to the rulers of another nation. And of course religion started to push towards monogamous and heterosexual relationships in about the 12th century. But for all the religious people out there who already started to praise the Lord for his wise decision, this was actually a very human decision, because the priests who conducted the marriage got a small fee for their expenses. So the priests started to call every sexual intercourse or relationship outside of the church a sin. So all the Christians had to come to them, pay their fee to get the license to fuck. Now let's take a look at today's situation. First of all, we have a growing number of single parents. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing. I myself believe that more than one parent is better, because when you're a single parent and you also have a job, you kind of lack the time to take completely care of your child. So you either need to hire a nurse or have to put your child in front of the television for the whole day, which is not really healthy, believe me. Next thing is the number of divorces. While divorces are pretty much as old as marriage itself, it has become a very common aspect nowadays. Especially famous people with their eccentric lifestyle get married and divorced twice a year. Both those aspects I just named are no aspects I think are good and healthy for us. But they are fact, and the position of marriage is weakened. So by making marriage a more open concept, not just monogamous and heterosexual, it would actually strengthen the position of marriage once again. Now about the things that had actually changed. First of all, we have the invention of nearly flawless birth control, as long as the people using it are not complete idiots. So getting intimate with somebody does not necessarily lead to offspring, what has been the case in the past. So nowadays humans have the possibility to enjoy sexual pleasure without a lifelong bond, to have sex just for fun, which is rather awesome. But as a consequence, you don't need marriage anymore to get laid. Then of course we don't have any natural predators anymore. We are on top of the food chain. So the whole aspect of having to stick together to defend against the hostile environment is not given anymore. The most hostile aspect in our environment are we ourselves, the other humans. And finally, the practice of creating alliances through marriage is not really common nowadays anymore. I mean, there may be a few businesses or royal families or whatever who still do this, but the common citizen does not get married to forge an alliance with somebody else. No, you do it because you want to forge a bond with somebody you love. And this has pretty much become the main purpose nowadays, and therefore it is not fair to forbid people who love each other, like for example a gay couple or a group of 3 people, to deny them to be acknowledged as a group of people who want to bond to each other for the rest of their lives. Now, of course, there's this one big group who demands that marriage stays a monogamous and heterosexual thing only. Diverse religious groups have rules that forbid homosexuality and polygamy and whatnot. And I have to say, to be fair, if you are a devoted member of such a group, you have to acknowledge those rules. In this regard, religion is like a big club, and if you want to be a member, you have to respect all the club rules. But, and this is the point I wanted to make, it is wrong for religious people to try to force this kind of marriage on all people. People outside of a religion should be allowed to choose whatever form of marriage they want, except of course the usual stuff that hurts people. No child marriage, no marrying animals because of the lack of consent and the induced mental traumas. Especially in a democratic society like ours, in which freedom is one of the biggest goods we have, there is no place for this kind of laws that deny the free development of some individuals. In conclusion, traditional marriage is a good thing. It is some kind of commitment for one man and one woman to get together, to create offspring, and to be faithful to each other. This is great, this is awesome. But it is not necessary anymore. It has outlived its reason. So everybody who wants to go this way is very welcome, and I congratulate everybody who finds his or her partner for life and is happy with it. But since all the original purposes of marriage are not up to date anymore, I say marriage has to be a more open concept in general. Therefore, gay marriage should not be banned, instead it should be encouraged, since gay marriage would actually strengthen the position of marriage, because it would actually create more married couples than we have right now. And I go even a step further and say, allow polygamous marriage, because simply, why not? If there is a group of people who say, all of us are devoted to each other, why don't allow them to make it official? They will probably do it anyways. You only weaken the concept of marriage by making it heterosexual, monogam exclusive. I'm Ain Waik, opinion counts.